You've been carrying something heavy, haven't you? Something you can't fully explain to anyone. Maybe it's a question that keeps you awake at night. Maybe it's a feeling that you're waiting for something, but you don't know what. And maybe, just maybe, you clicked on this video because something inside you whispered, "This might be for me." If you're still here right now, that wasn't an accident. That whisper, that pull you felt, that came from somewhere beyond you. This message isn't for everyone. But if you're still listening, then Allah is speaking directly to your heart right now. You know what's strange? Most people will scroll past this video in 3 seconds. They'll never hear what I'm about to tell you, but you didn't leave. You're still here. And that alone tells me something about you. It tells me you've been through something. You've felt things that other people don't talk about. You've cried prayers that no one else heard. You've asked Allah questions in the middle of the night when the world was asleep. And maybe you've wondered if He's even listening. But here's what I need you to understand right now before we go any deeper. He heard every single word, every tear, every silent scream. And what's about to unfold in your life is going to prove that to you in ways you never imagined. Before we go further, I want you to do something for me. If this message is already touching something inside you, hit that like button. Not for me, for you, because that small action is you telling yourself, "I'm ready to hear this." And if you've ever felt alone in your faith or lost in your journey, then subscribe to Deen and Discipline. This is a space for people like you, people who feel deeply, people who question, people who are being prepared for something they can't see yet. You're not alone anymore. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever looked back at your life and realized that something protected you? Something you didn't plan for, something that didn't make sense at the time. Maybe it was a door that closed in your face and you cried about it for weeks. Maybe it was a person who walked away and you thought your world was ending. Maybe it was a loss that broke you, a betrayal that shattered you, a delay that frustrated you. But now, months or even years later, you look back and you think, if that hadn't happened, I would have been destroyed. You ever feel that? That strange, haunting realization that you were saved from something you couldn't even see coming. Let me tell you what that was. That wasn't luck. That wasn't coincidence. That wasn't just life happening randomly. That was Allah protecting you from a version of your life that would have ruined you. And here's the part that's going to hit you hard. The thing that hurt you the most, the thing that broke you, that was the mercy. That rejection you cried over, that was the rescue. That unanswered prayer you begged for, that was the protection. You were asking for something, and Allah said no. Not because He doesn't love you, but because He loves you too much to let you have what would harm you. Think about that for a second. Really think about it. How many times have you begged for something and when you didn't get it, you felt abandoned, you felt unheard. You felt like your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling. But what if I told you that in that exact moment, Allah was moving mountains behind the scenes to protect you from yourself? What if the silence wasn't rejection? What if it was redirection? What if the delay wasn't denial? What if it was preparation? You see, we live in a world that teaches us that getting what we want quickly means we're blessed. If the door opens fast, that's a sign. If the prayer is answered immediately, that's proof that God is with us. But that's not how Allah works. That's not the language of the divine. Allah doesn't operate on our timeline. He operates on a timeline that sees your entire life at once. Your past, your present, your future. He sees the version of you 10 years from now. He sees the consequences of choices you haven't even made yet. And when He holds something back from you, it's not because He's withholding love. It's because He's withholding harm. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine you're a child and you see a beautiful, shiny knife on the kitchen counter. You reach for it because it looks amazing, it sparkles, you want it, but your father pulls your hand back. And in that moment you cry, you get upset, you think, why won't he let me have it? But your father isn't being cruel, he's being protective. He sees what you can't see. He knows that knife will cut you. And his love for you is so strong that he's willing to let you be upset with him for a moment rather than let you hurt yourself. That's exactly what Allah does with us. We reach for things that look good, that feel right, that we think we need. And he pulls our hand back. And we cry, we get frustrated, we question. But he's not punishing us. He's protecting us. Now here's where it gets even deeper. You know those moments when you felt completely alone, when it felt like no one understood what you were going through, when you couldn't talk to your family because they wouldn't get it. You couldn't talk to your friends because they'd judge you. You couldn't even post about it online because it was too personal, too raw, too real. In those moments, you were alone with Allah, and I know that doesn't always feel comforting in the moment. I know sometimes you wanted a human voice, a human hug, human reassurance. But what if those moments of isolation were actually moments of elevation? What if Allah was removing people from your life not to hurt you, but to make space for a direct conversation with Him? What if loneliness was actually intimacy in disguise? See, there's something most people don't understand about the spiritual path. They think that being close to Allah means everything gets easier. They think that faith means smooth sailing, open doors, quick answers. But that's not what the prophets experienced. That's not what the companions experienced. And that's not what you're experiencing either. Because closeness to Allah doesn't mean distance from struggle. It means proximity to purpose. And purpose always requires preparation. You can't carry a heavy crown on a weak neck. You can't hold a powerful blessing in shaky hands. So Allah trains you. He strengthens you. He breaks you down so He can rebuild you into someone who can handle what He's about to give you. You've heard the saying, Allah doesn't burden a soul beyond what it can bear. But let me tell you what that really means. It doesn't mean Allah only gives you easy tests. It means He only gives you tests that are proportional to your capacity. And if your test feels impossibly heavy right now, that's not a sign that you're weak. It's a sign that you're strong enough to carry it. Allah saw something in you. He saw a strength you don't even see in yourself yet. And He said, this one can handle it. This one won't break. This one is ready. So He placed a weight on your shoulders that would crush someone else. Not because He wants to hurt you, but because He's preparing you for a responsibility, a blessing, a calling that requires that exact level of strength. But here's what makes this even more beautiful. While you were struggling, while you were crying, while you were wondering if anyone cared, Allah wasn't just watching. He was orchestrating. He was moving pieces on a board you couldn't see. He was closing doors so better ones could open. He was removing people so the right ones could enter. He was delaying your dreams so they could arrive at the perfect time, in the perfect way, with the perfect people. And the whole time you thought you were being forgotten, you were actually being remembered in the most intimate, most detailed, most loving way possible. Let me ask you something else. Do you remember a time when you were desperate for something to work out and it didn't? And you were angry, you were confused, you questioned everything. But then later, maybe months later, maybe years later, something happened that made you say, oh, that's why. That's why it didn't work out back then, because this was waiting for me. You ever have that moment of clarity where the puzzle pieces finally fit? That's called divine timing. And the reason it felt so painful in the waiting is because you couldn't see the picture Allah was painting. You were looking at one brushstroke and thinking it was the whole painting. But Allah was seeing the masterpiece. He was seeing the whole canvas. And every delay, every rejection, every closed door was a necessary stroke in the bigger picture. Here's something that's going to shift your entire perspective. What if I told you that the very thing that hurt you the most is the thing that saved you the most? What if that heartbreak wasn't just pain? What if it was protection? What if that betrayal wasn't just loss? What if it was liberation? What if that failure wasn't just disappointment? What if it was redirection? See, we're so focused on what we lost that we never stop to consider what we were saved from. We mourn the door that closed, but we don't celebrate the trap we didn't walk into. We grieve the person who left, but we don't thank Allah for removing someone who would have destroyed us slowly, quietly, painfully. And I'm not saying this to minimize your pain. I'm not saying just be grateful and move on. No, your pain is real, your heartbreak is valid, your confusion is understandable. But what I am saying is this: your pain has a purpose, your heartbreak has a message, your confusion has a direction. Nothing that happened to you was random, nothing that broke you was pointless. Every single thing you've been through was designed to either protect you or prepare you, and sometimes it was both. Now let's talk about the people who left your life, the ones who walked away, the ones who betrayed you, the ones who promised forever and delivered nothing. It hurt, didn't it? It hurt so much that maybe you're still carrying that pain right now. Maybe you still think about them. Maybe you still wonder, what if? But here's what I need you to see. Those people didn't leave because you weren't enough. They left because they weren't aligned with where Allah is taking you. They left because their presence in your next chapter would have blocked your growth. They left because they were a test, not a reward. And Allah doesn't let temporary people block permanent blessings. Some people are in your life for a reason. Some are in your life for a season. And some are in your life for a lesson. The ones who hurt you, they were the lesson. The ones who left you, they were the season. And the ones who are coming, they're the reason. But you had to go through the lesson and the season to be ready for the reason. You had to be broken by the wrong people so you could recognize the right people. You had to feel the pain of misalignment so you could appreciate the peace of alignment. And that process, that painful, confusing, heartbreaking process, that was Allah refining you. That was Him removing everything that doesn't serve your purpose so that what remains is pure, strong, and ready. Let me tell you something about divine protection that's going to blow your mind. Sometimes, Allah protects you by giving you what you want and letting it fail. Think about that. You begged for that job and you got it and it was a nightmare. You prayed for that relationship and it happened and it broke you. You chased that dream and you achieved it and it left you empty. Why would Allah let you have something that hurts you? Because sometimes the only way to kill a false desire is to let you experience it. Sometimes you have to taste the poison to realize it's not food. Sometimes you have to hold the thing you thought you wanted to realize it's not what you needed. And in that painful realization, you're freed. You're freed from the illusion. You're freed from the attachment. You're freed from chasing something that was never meant for you in the first place. So if you're sitting here right now, nursing a wound from something you begged Allah for and then lost, don't see it as abandonment. See it as education. Allah gave you a front row seat to your own deliverance. He showed you exactly why that thing wasn't for you. And now, you're free to receive what actually is. You know what's interesting? The moment you stop chasing what left, the moment you stop crying over what closed, the moment you finally surrender and say, Allah, I trust you even though I don't understand, that's the exact moment everything starts to shift. Not always externally. Sometimes the shift happens internally first. Your heart softens, your mind clears, your spirit strengthens, and you start to see that the whole time you were fighting to hold on, Allah was fighting to set you free. The whole time you were begging to go back, He was pushing you forward. The whole time you thought you were losing, you were actually winning in ways you couldn't measure yet. And here's the thing about divine timing that nobody tells you. It doesn't feel divine when you're in it. It feels cruel. It feels cold. It feels like you're being punished for something you didn't do. You watch other people get their prayers answered quickly. You watch doors open for them while yours stay locked. You watch them celebrate while you're still waiting. And you start to think, what's wrong with me? Why is everyone else being blessed except me? But what you don't see is that their test is different from yours. Their path is different from yours. Their purpose is different from yours. And what they received quickly, you're receiving deeply. What they got easily, you're getting permanently. What came to them fast is coming to you lasting. See, Allah doesn't delay your blessings to torture you. He delays them to prepare you. Because there's a difference between getting something and being ready for something. There's a difference between receiving a blessing and being able to sustain a blessing. You can give a child $1 million, but if that child doesn't have the wisdom, the discipline, the character to manage it, they'll lose it in a week. The money isn't the problem. The readiness is. And that's what Allah is doing with you right now. He's not holding back your blessing because He doesn't want you to have it. He's building you into the version of yourself that can hold it, grow it, and honor it. Let me take you deeper. You've been praying for something specific, haven't you? Maybe it's a spouse. Maybe it's a child. Maybe it's financial freedom. Maybe it's healing. Maybe it's clarity. Maybe it's peace. And every day that passes without it feels like another day of rejection, another day of silence, another day of wondering if Allah even cares. But what if the delay isn't about the thing you're asking for? What if the delay is about you? What if Allah is saying, I hear you, I see you. I'm going to give you what you asked for. But first, I need to make sure that when it arrives, it doesn't destroy you. I need to make sure you're strong enough to receive it, wise enough to protect it, and humble enough to honor it. Think about the story of Musa, peace be upon him. When he was a baby, his mother was commanded to put him in a basket and place him in the river. Imagine that moment. Imagine being a mother and being told by Allah to let go of your child, to trust him to the water, to release him into the unknown. That must have been the hardest thing she ever did. But what she didn't know in that moment was that the river wasn't taking her son away from her. The river was protecting him. The river was delivering him to the palace of Pharaoh, where he would be raised, educated, and prepared for the mission that would define his life. She thought she was losing him, but Allah was positioning him. And years later, when Musa returned as a prophet, as a liberator, as a leader, she understood. The letting go wasn't loss, it was trust. And the trust wasn't blind, it was faith. That's where you are right now. You're being asked to let go of something, to trust the current, to release control. And it feels like loss. It feels like you're floating in the unknown with nothing to hold on to. But what if the current is taking you exactly where you need to be? What if the letting go is the only way to arrive? What if the river isn't your enemy? What if it's your deliverance? Now I want to talk to you about something that most people are too afraid to admit. You've felt it, but you've probably never said it out loud. Sometimes you're angry at Allah. Sometimes you question him. Sometimes you sit there in the middle of the night and you think, why me? Why is this happening to me? What did I do to deserve this? And immediately after that thought, you feel guilty. You feel like a bad Muslim. You feel like you're not supposed to think that way, feel that way, question that way. But let me tell you something that's going to set you free. Your honesty with Allah doesn't offend him. Your questions don't push him away. Your anger doesn't make him love you less. In fact, it's the opposite. When you come to him raw, real, broken, angry, confused, that's intimacy. That's trust. Because you only get that honest with someone you believe is strong enough to handle it. The prophets questioned, Musa questioned, Yusuf must have wondered, Ayub cried out. And Allah didn't punish them for their humanity. He honored it, he answered it, he held space for it. So if you're sitting here right now feeling like you're a bad believer because you've questioned, because you've doubted, because you've struggled, stop. Stop carrying that guilt. Your struggle is not a sign of weak faith. It's a sign of real faith. Because real faith isn't pretending everything is fine. Real faith is saying, I don't understand, but I'm still here. I'm hurt, but I'm still praying. I'm confused, but I'm still trusting. And here's what's beautiful about that kind of faith. It doesn't break. Fake faith breaks. Surface level faith breaks. Faith that's built on convenience, on ease, on getting what you want when you want it, that breaks the moment life gets hard. But faith that's been tested, faith that's been challenged, faith that's been through the fire and still stands, that faith is unshakable. That faith is what carries you through every storm for the rest of your life. And that's the faith Allah is building in you right now. Not the kind that sounds good in a quote. The kind that actually holds you when nothing else does. Let me ask you something. What if everything you've been through, every heartbreak, every betrayal, every disappointment, every delay, what if all of it was necessary to bring you to this exact moment? What if you had to lose certain people so you could find yourself? What if you had to fail at certain things so you could discover your real purpose? What if you had to be broken so you could be rebuilt into something stronger, something truer, something more aligned with who Allah created you to be? You see, we spend so much time trying to avoid pain. We run from discomfort. We numb ourselves. We distract ourselves. We do everything we can to not feel the hard things. But what if the hard things are the holy things? What if pain is the portal? What if discomfort is the doorway? What if everything you've been avoiding is actually everything you need to walk through to get to the other side of yourself? I'm not saying pain is good. I'm not romanticizing suffering. What I'm saying is that pain has a purpose when you let it transform you instead of destroy you, when you let it teach you instead of defeat you, when you let it refine you instead of define you. And the difference between those two outcomes isn't the pain itself. It's how you hold it. It's what you do with it. It's whether you let it close your heart or crack it open. And I know right now your heart might feel closed. You might feel like you've built walls so high that nothing can get in, not even love, not even hope, not even Allah. But here's what I need you to know. Those walls you built to protect yourself, they're also the walls keeping you trapped. The armor you put on to survive. It's also the armor preventing you from truly living. And at some point, you're going to have to make a choice. You're going to have to decide whether you want to stay safe or whether you want to be free, because you can't have both. Safety keeps you small. Freedom requires risk. And the greatest risk you'll ever take is letting yourself be vulnerable again after you've been hurt. Letting yourself hope again after you've been disappointed. Letting yourself trust again after you've been betrayed. That's exactly what Allah is asking you to do. He's asking you to soften, to open, to trust Him even when you can't see the plan, to believe in His goodness even when life feels hard, to know that He's with you even when you feel alone. And I'm not going to lie to you, that's terrifying. It's terrifying to hope again when hope has hurt you before. It's terrifying to trust again when trust has been broken. But the alternative is worse. The alternative is living a closed life, a guarded life, a half life. And you weren't created for that. You were created for expansion, for connection, for depth, for meaning, for love. And all of those things require you to take off the armor, lower the walls, and let Allah in completely. Now let's talk about the signs, because Allah doesn't just protect you in silence. He sends you signs, little whispers, small confirmations, quiet reassurances that you're exactly where you need to be. Maybe it's a verse from the Quran that hits you at the perfect moment. Maybe it's a stranger who says exactly what you needed to hear. Maybe it's a dream that gives you peace. Maybe it's a feeling, a knowing, a sense that even though nothing has changed externally, something has shifted internally. Those aren't coincidences. Those are love letters from Allah. Those are His way of saying, I see you, I'm with you, don't give up. But here's the thing about signs. They're easy to miss when you're not paying attention. They're easy to dismiss when you're too deep in your pain. They're easy to overlook when you're focused on what's not happening instead of what is. So you have to train yourself to notice. You have to become aware. You have to start looking for Allah in the small things, in the quiet moments, in the unexpected blessings, because He's always speaking. The question is, are you listening? And sometimes the sign isn't a message. Sometimes the sign is the silence itself. Sometimes Allah is teaching you to find Him not in the answers, but in the waiting, not in the clarity, but in the confusion, not in the certainty, but in the surrender, because that's where real faith lives, not in knowing, in trusting, not in seeing, in believing, not in understanding, in submitting. You know what's wild? The people who have the strongest faith are usually the people who have been through the most pain. It's not because pain makes you faithful. It's because pain forces you to choose. It forces you to decide whether you're going to let life break you or build you, whether you're going to become bitter or better, whether you're going to close your heart or deepen it. And the ones who choose to stay open, to stay soft, to stay connected to Allah through it all, those are the ones who emerge with a faith that can't be shaken. A faith that's been tested and proven. A faith that's not just believed, it's lived.